Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive, but he has a brand new video today talking about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee and some new trademarks that were just filed by Pokemon and Nintendo. Now this video has a lot of speculation in it, so take that with a grain of salt, but we're gonna have a lot of fun here and I'm gonna talk about some potential Mega Evolutions that could be coming to Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Now we did talk about this briefly in a different video, but with these trademarks coming out, it seems as though we have a little bit more narrow direction in terms of which Pokemon would and could potentially get Mega Evolutions in the upcoming game. Now there are some pretty interesting similarities between these Pokemon that lead me to believe that that may be the case. Of course, however, Mega Evolution is not confirmed under any circumstances, and there's always the chance that these Pokemon are special in some other way and they have some other sort of special treatment. However, the last time that something like this did take place, it did appear that the Pokemon ultimately became Mega Evolutions. So let's take a look and a deeper dive into things here, and hopefully you guys enjoy this video and have fun with it. And you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, like the video, and subscribe if you are new for daily Pokemon content. So let's jump right into it. Jinx Club is a reputable insider here on Twitter. I've referenced their stuff quite a bit. In this situation, they're the first person to kind of report on, that I noticed anyway, the Japanese sources saying that Gen 1 Pokemon have had their Japanese names re-trademarked. Golem, Machamp, Raichu, Jinx, Starmie, the Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, Arbok, Weezing, Persian, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon, and Dragonite. Now, it is important to note that some of these Pokemon, in the case of Jinx, for example, their trademarks have actually not run out. So, for the Japanese or Pokemon company to re-trademark these Pokemon without their trademarks running out is interesting. Apparently, the Jinx trademark doesn't expire until 2022, so there's still a few years left on that. But very interesting that these Pokemon are trademarked here. We go on to have this conversation. I say Megas. This is actually a few days ago. Last time we had re-trademarks, it was for the Megas. But Golem and Persian already have Alolan form, so I think this might not be linked to Megas. Also, I don't think they'll give Eeveelutions Megas, and I totally agree with Jinx. I said, you know, I'm kind of thinking to myself, yeah, it would be weird to give the Eeveelutions Megas. It would also be kind of weird to see a Alolan Pokemon have Megas, so I kind of agree with that, right? Like, that was my first thought as well, and I said, so what's your gut feeling? Do you think that they would add new Megas into Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee? I personally wouldn't be surprised. Like, I genuinely wouldn't. And it says that it seems that none of the Asian leakers know whether there'll be new Megas or even old Megas at all, but I sure hope they add new Megas. And if you saw my walking animation video, there was walking animations and running animations for Mega Evolutions, which is pretty interesting that they would create those at all. And obviously there's the whole hole in that where Mega Evolution takes place in battle. The Pokemon kind of gets this new form while it's like energized up with the bond of its trainer in battle. So some interesting kind of loopholes here, but it's not like Pokemon's never done something and then changed it in the future. Mega Evolutions used to not get their speed stat changed when they Mega Evolved the first turn. They also used to not have their abilities activated on the first turn. They've changed mechanics in the past, so it's possible that they find a way that Mega Evolutions do follow you in the future. And it is possible that there will be new Mega Evolutions in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I do agree with Jinx though in saying that there is some possibilities here that, you know, with Golem and Persian, that's kind of weird. The fact that they already have Alolan forms, and of course then the Eeveelutions getting Megas seems very strange. It seems unlikely, but at the same time, all these Pokemon have some pretty interesting similarities. So let's kind of dig a little deeper here. And then Jinx ended up going on to say today that I think the main point is that these Pokemon will receive some special treatment. We don't know if Megas is going to be the special treatment. I think it's still a little bit early to tell whether or not they'll have new Megas. So kind of some interesting stuff there. But again, the key takeaway here is that these Pokemon are going to have some sort of special treatment. What will that special treatment be? Is it something we've never seen before? Or is it going to be something like Mega Evolution, which is the one thing that really comes to mind when you think of taking a group of Pokemon that are all pretty important and deciding, you know, kind of ultimately what that importance is going to be and how it's going to be kind of implicated and implemented into the new game. So let's talk about these group of Pokemon here. You've got Golem, Arbok, Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, Raichu, Jolteon, Flareon, Vaporeon, Weezing, Persian, Starmie, Dragonite, Machamp, and Jinx. And there's some pretty interesting things to note here. I'm going to break down all of these, and kind of talk individually about each one and kind of a theory for each Mega Evolution. But one of the things that interesting to me is that all these Pokemon have some sort of main relevancy to the story of Kanto. The first thing is you're looking at Raichu and then you're looking at the 3 Eeveelutions, and obviously those are going to be Pokemon that are evolved from Pikachu and Eevee. Pretty straightforward, right? It would only make sense for those Pokemon to be important. But then you look at like an Arbok and a Weezing, and you think of Jesse and James, the 2 members of Team Rocket, which are confirmed to be in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. You look at something like Dragonite, Lance, the Elite Four, has a Dragonite. Jinx, Loralee from the Elite Four has a Jinx. You look at someone like Bruno, who's got Machamp, he's got the Hitmones, he's got Golem, so that's a little bit interesting there. So some pretty crazy stuff. Agatha, her signature Pokemon is Gengar, which already has a Mega Evolution. So when you kind of Giovanni and Persian, just some things I wanted to point out here. So when you kind of think about that, and you think of the Elite Four and the possibility that the Elite Four members carry a Mega Evolution, it's really not all that crazy to think about. I wouldn't really be surprised. Perhaps Golem is when you re-challenge the gym leaders. Maybe Starmie, you can re-challenge the gym leaders, and maybe Misty has a Mega Starmie. Maybe, you know, Brock has a Mega Golem. It's not that far-fetched, really. I don't think it's that crazy to possibly think of, and it seems like these are some of the core Pokemon that could be related to the story. Ekans, Arbok, Persian, Team Rocket, like, tell me that doesn't stand out to you. And then when you think of something like a Jinx, Dragonite, and you look at some of those Pokemon and how they can tie directly into the Elite Four, it does seem like it wouldn't be that unfeasible or impossible for these Pokemon to have Mega Evolutions when you're playing through Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And we saw in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire that those Pokemon in the Elite Four ultimately did have Mega Evolutions as well. So a couple things to note there. It's not like it'd be the craziest thing. So Bruno, Brock, one of them potentially having Golem could be really cool. I like the idea of Golem growing extra arms, kind of like Graveler, which is weird that it kind of loses the arm there. Perhaps it has some sort of an ability where its attacks hit multiple times, perhaps like a skill link type of thing, or maybe like a double hit type of thing like Mega Kangaskhan has, where this Pokemon, kind of similarly to Parental Bond, can hit more times in succession. I really like that kind of an ability, and it's actually an ability that's in Pokemon Insurgents. I believe it's Hydreigon that has it. It gains 5 heads, and its attack doesn't do as much damage, but it hits 5 times instead, which is kind of a cool thought process. So I think that Mega Golem could actually be really cool. And again, I understand that there's the potential hiccup with Mega Alolan Golem and how Alolan Golem may kind of have some sort of confliction there, but perhaps it's something that they introduce now, Mega Golem, and then in the future Mega Alolan Golem exists, or perhaps both can take place. I don't know, I'm not sure, but you know, this is just fun to speculate. So we've got Machamp here as well, and again, I do want to pause and say that all the art I'm using is in the description below, so please check out some of these artists. It's some incredible artwork. I'm putting every source in the description below. But Mega Machamp, there actually isn't a ton of fan art about Mega Machamp out there, but I think the most logical thing is, again, it grows a couple extra arms like Goro, man, from what is it, Mortal Kombat. That could be kind of cool, but kind of similar idea, right? Just some sort of an idea of multi-hit, being able to hit multiple times, I think would be really, really cool. Similarly to like what I said with Kangaskhan and Parental Bond. Again, Bruno's signature Pokemon is Machamp, so maybe it's more likely that Bruno has some sort of a Mega Machamp, and as I mentioned before, maybe Brock, you get to re-challenge Brock and Misty at some point. 2 of the most iconic gym leaders in the series, by the way, Brock and Misty, and it wouldn't be surprising, right? Because you always got to figure that there could potentially be some sort of an anime tie-in. So is it possible that Ash or whatever, he ultimately can get, I don't know, maybe he's not going to get Mega Raichu, but, you know, he's traveling with Brock and Misty, and they have their own Megas. Maybe Mega Golem, or, you know what I mean? Like, obviously Mega Steelix, but obviously Steelix doesn't exist in this game. So, I don't know, it's kind of interesting to just talk about. You got Raichu here. Obviously, lots of talk about Gorochu over the last few months. Gorochu is, of course, meant to be the 3rd evolution of Pikachu, which never came to exist. I would not be surprised if there was a Mega Raichu. I think it could be really, really cool. Give it a stat buff. It's one of those Pokemon that I think with a stat buff and a cool ability could end up being like really, really good. Especially maybe it sets electric terrain like Tapu Koko, and all of a sudden you have like I guess it takes away the special. I get the specialness of what Tapu Koko is, but again, kind of the conflict of the Alolan Raichu form potentially making it a little bit weird, but I guess they can easily explain it and just say, hey, Alolan forms, they just don't have the ability to Mega Evolve, but the Kanto forms do. I don't know, man. Could be kind of cool. You got Mega Jinx here, and Jinx is a very particular and interesting Pokemon in this situation because Jinx apparently, according to Jinx Club, was a Pokemon that was initially intended to receive a Mega Evolution, and then ultimately the design was scrapped and it never got a Mega. So that's one of the other things that kind of points to maybe that this is going to be Mega Evolution in terms of what all these Pokemon have in common. But Laura Lee, the Ice type Elite Four member, her signature Pokemon, or one of her main Pokemon, is Jinx, and perhaps Jinx finally gets its time to shine and get a Mega Evolution. I love this fan art. It looks really cool. That could be really cool. Maybe make it Ice and Fairy, or Psychic and maybe give it some sort of Fairy aspect, or even just Psychic and Ice with a really cool ability that could boost its attacks, or maybe I don't know. The possibilities are endless. Maybe give it a little bit more bulk or something. I really love this design, though. I think it's like one of the cool. It makes Jinx look cool. Like, no offense, I'm not a big Jinx fan, but I think this Mega Evolution makes Jinx look cool. This is probably one of my favorites though. Starmie getting Mega Evolution, perhaps turning Fairy type, or maybe just staying Water and Psychic. I think Starmie could be really, really epic with a Mega Evolution. Again, signature Pokemon for Misty, so it wouldn't be all that crazy to think about the possibilities there. So there's some options there with Mega Starmie. I think that it could be really cool, and I love this art, dude. Some of this art is just incredible. The Mega Hitmones, I think, is a little weirder, right? This is probably the one that gives me the, I guess is the one that's the most confusing to me, is the Hitmones in this list. Not really sure what's going on with those, but perhaps there's, I mean, Bruno again could have them, like he's got a lot of the Pokemon on this list, but perhaps the Fighting Dojo is something more than just a dojo in this game. You know, that's always a possibility. That's where the Hitmones come from, so maybe in Saffron there's a bit more development there. But when you think about all the different gym leaders and you think of kind of the Mega Evolutions they could have, obviously Sabrina having Mega Alakazam, Lieutenant Surge potentially having Mega Raichu, you know, you think of Blaine maybe having, I don't know, Mega Charizard, you know, it's kind of hard to say, and then obviously Mega Venusaur maybe for Erica. Like it's really kind of hard to really try to find the pattern, but I do still think that there's a chance that Mega Evolution could be what we're talking about here. And this is one of the things that kind of really makes me question the fact that it is Mega Evolution and like really think that it could be. Jesse and James, obviously the signature Pokemon are Weezing and Arbok. These are really cool artworks. Obviously Weezing gaining an extra head, a third head there, really looking really cool. And Arbok just looking absolutely devastating. Having some sort of cool chest pattern and maybe you know, having the ability to hit like badly poison things or do something like that. Maybe Strong Jaw to boost its bite moves. It could do something really cool with that. Weezing and Mega Evolution for Weezing could be really cool. But obviously Jesse and James are back with their potentially with their Weezing and Arbok and maybe Mega Evolutions. Obviously Giovanni and his Persian, again, you had that little bit of a hiccup because of Alolan Persian, but nevertheless, Giovanni obviously likely to be the 8th gym leader or at least have some sort of an impact in this game, especially since we know Team Rocket is involved. So perhaps he has some sort of Mega Evolution in Mega Persian. Obviously the Eeveelutions here, Vaporeon, Flareon, and Jolteon, some pretty cool artwork there. They could potentially get their abilities Water Absorb, Volt Absorb, and Flash Fire, or maybe something else, maybe Adaptability, which I think always kind of fits the Eeveelution line. It could be really, really sick Pokemon. I mean, some absolute favorites, and I think people would be really stoked about those. And then, of course, last but certainly not least is Mega Dragonite, which I think is one that people have always wanted. I mean, obviously, Dragonite is a strange thing to say, but for its Mega Stone, but it could ultimately be really cool, especially if it turned like Dragon and Fairy, kind of like Mega Altaria. It could be really, really sick, and surprisingly did not have a Mega already. So that's kind of my thoughts, man. Again, nothing set in stone, simply just a theory. But it is interesting that all these Pokemon do have something special in common, and they're going to receive some sort of special treatment in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, it seems, as these trademarks were recently applied for. So what will that be? Will it be Mega Evolution? Will it be something entirely different? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Hope you enjoyed this theory video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it in general. That's going to be it for me, guys. My name is Dan. I also go by aDrive. Be sure to like and subscribe for more Pokemon content every single day. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Thanks so much for checking out my last video. If you like that one, you'll definitely like this one, and be sure to subscribe for more as I post Pokemon videos every single day.